Hi, my name is Steve, and I'm an addict. Normally, when I share at meetings, I talk about what is going on with my life right now or in the present moment. So, the biggest issues that I choose to focus on is the injury to my right knee. I don't know exactly how or when I hurt it, but right now I feel pain and weakness, and my knee has been an issue for more than 6 months. The reason the knee pain is a big deal is because one of the hobbies I found while getting clean this year has been riding bikes. To put it simply, I got hurt. I can't ride bikes, so I blame God, other people, and I'm upset. And once again, I'm practicing insanity because I'm choosing to act on obsession and compulsion. And another issue recently is that I'm currently dealing with is smoking cigarettes. I am absolutely addicted to smoking. In fact, I smoke even when I don't want to. I smoke in the mornings, I smoke after meals, before I sleep, and pretty much every chance I get. I smoke even when I don't feel good, and I also smoke knowing how bad it is for my health. This is another example of how I can live in insanity while being clean. So obviously bike building and cigarettes affect my finances as well because I spend all my money and time and on them, neglecting to pay for my court fees. I could go deeper and deeper on this issue and how my life can become unmanageable with just these two issues. But these are just some of the examples of how I will try to use outside things to focus on so I don't have to deal with the inside issues. You know, I have just replaced drugs with bikes and cigarettes. And so I'd rather be distracted and focus on things outside of myself to make me feel happy. And this has been an ongoing issue in my life. Perhaps at this time, God is teaching me some patience right now with the injury and maybe leading my focus back to what is important. So, a little bit about myself. I was born in Los Angeles to young immigrant parents. My parents raised two boys and gave us every possible opportunity to succeed, which means me and my brother were sent to Christian private schools from preschool all the way to high school. Basically, my parents lived the American dream, and they tried their best with the tools that they had to raise me up correctly. I realized that while writing the fourth step, my disease, the disease of addiction, needed an excuse to victimize the easiest targets in my life, which were my parents. And for a long time, I blamed my parents for my addiction and ultimately my life. Simply put, I did not want to look at myself or my behavior, and really I needed an excuse for how my life turned out. Now I realize my parents were just awesome people who worked really, really hard. Growing up, I never really knew what I wanted because everything I needed and wanted my parents gave to me. Just as an example, my dad bought me a very expensive sports car for my 16th birthday. And you know, I never asked for it, and I didn't even know how to ask for such things. Which is to say, I never appreciated what I had because, quite frankly, I had too much. I'm a spoiled brat that never grew up to take responsibility for my own actions. And because of my drug use, I just got used to going to jails and institutions. I can kind of see now that the disease of addiction started way before the drug use. Even as a child, I loved mechanical pencils. I don't know why, but I was obsessed with them. They made me happy. And since I had a problem asking for things, even small things, I just started stealing them. And I know the behavior is odd, But even now, I write all my step works and my nightly journals with a mechanical pencil. You know, if I didn't spend all my money on building bikes and cigarettes right now, I'd probably have some decent mechanical pencils. But these days, sadly, I just use some no-name 99-cent brand store-bought pencils. That obsession with mechanical pencils when I was young became comic books later on, then video games, money, and ultimately drugs. I started smoking cigarettes and drinking between the ages of 14 and 16 years old in high school. And upon entering college, I became heavily dependent on marijuana and party drugs like ecstasy, acid, and I also experimented with meth also. Needless to say, the drugs became more important than the school, the girlfriend, or anything else in my life. At that time, the drugs totally consumed me, and also I was going to court for drug possession, transportation, and distribution charges. Now, I wasn't an Al Capone or anything. You know, I just tried to sell a couple kilos of baking powder to an undercover DEA agent. Well, who knew that was a crime? And the school was not happy about that as well. So by that time, my college life was over, and I decided to return home feeling extremely bad about my life, and ultimately bad about who I was and myself. One day I had an opportunity to hang out with some friends who happened to have meth. Now, they warned me about the drugs before, but being a good addict that I am, I did it. And from that moment on, my life has pretty much been a vicious cycle of addiction mixed with jails and institution. For me, the past 20 years have been all about drug use. If I wasn't doing it, I was thinking about it and planning to do it, which is why I worked or got a job, which is why I made money, and one of the reasons why I associated with people. It was about the getting and using and finding means and ways to get more. So I got here by going on another one of those vicious cycles, another drug run. This time, however, I ended up sleeping outside of the library. And I was cold, thirsty, hungry, alone, afraid, lost, and so very tired. On previous runs, I remember feeling like that before. The hunger, the thirst, perhaps alone and afraid. But this time around, I had absolutely run out of options. And I was absolutely broken. Quite frankly, I didn't know what to do. And I just needed some relief. You know, that's all. During the day, I was able to use the library computer where I reached out to a friend in Korea who was able to get into contact with Dr. Hong. And this is how I came into the House of Thanksgiving. So this is how being clean looks for about a year looks like. You know, it's not pretty, but it's cute. Because of Kilgal and HOT, I was able to put enough distance and time between me and the drug to quiet my mind enough to listen to the message of recovery. I am grateful for Kilgal for introducing me to the 12-step program and the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous, where I found some hope. You know, just listening to the shares alone has helped me realize that maybe, just maybe, people could have meaningful lives without the use of drugs. I have since reconnected with a higher power, whom I call God, who I complain a lot to, and I use as a genie that might fulfill my wishes. But, you know, it's about progress, not perfection, so. And it hasn't been easy, but I'm slowly realizing that drugs were not the problem. I was. Right now, my life is pretty simple, and the problems I have now are pretty much the drama I make up in my mind. And the one thing I did right this whole time I was clean was not to pick up drugs. And I also learned that if I just behave better, I think better. Currently, I'm finished with my fourth step. I also just finished my fifth step. And, I communicate with my higher power daily, and I make it a habit to write in my journal every night, of course, with a mechanical pencil. I also have coffee commitments on Monday nights, and basically, I'm just trying to do the things that were suggested to me. Also, I have friends outside of HOT and Gilgal who have a significant amount of clean time that I communicate with on a daily or weekly basis. And I could do better, but I try to call Dr. Hong once a week as well. At the very least, I have a shot of living a decent life by just not picking up drugs. But if I put some work into my recovery, maybe I'll find out who I really am and what I am able to do or capable of in this life. Thank you all for participating in my recovery and helping me practice my own recovery by allowing me to share. It's really about one addict helping another, and without you guys and left to myself alone, I'm in deep shit. Thank you very much.